Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Welcome back to another episode of the mother freaking OA Pod.
Welcome back. My guns were sideways. So you already know what that means. And they upside down.
That means that ain't no nigga getting shot.
That's or everybody's getting it. It don't matter who it is.
No middle. Either no one gets shot or everyone.
Everybody gets shot. That's how lit this episode's going to be.
All the random people standing in the sidewalk that ain't do nothing today. I am B.Nation.
I'm Briana. And welcome
back. We back. We are back.
Motherfucking
back.
We are back.
How you been?
Good. I've been good.
I low-key feel like I haven't actually seen you in a minute.
You say that every time. But I think it's...
When's the last time I saw you?
Monday.
I did see you on Monday.
She be missing me. Because I literally saw you on Monday.
in front of your face for like 3 hours on Monday. Damn.
Above a beautiful sky.
Beautiful.
It was beautiful. Sunset.
Beautiful.
But yeah, I'm good.
I saw you on Monday. I'm like,
but no, this week did feel like kind of weirdly long. Mm-hmm. Even though we had Monday off, it still felt kind of long. Like Friday came and I was like, oh, this feels like took a while to get here. Friday don't feel like it was 4 days ago, or took 4 days to get. But yeah, I mean, I think I've been doing good. This was like a pretty chill week. I don't know. I was telling you this. I think we texted this week at some point. I don't know what's going on, and I'm not questioning it. But I've been feeling really good lately. No drama, no nothing, just chilling. So I haven't checked in on my car. So again, could be ignoring a lot of it. But my apartment is pretty dirty. So again, it could just be ignoring the things that I don't like to do. But regardless, I'm in a vibe. So I'm good. How do you avoid conflict?
She's like, nothing's wrong. But like, all these things are wrong, but nothing's wrong.
But I'm choosing to avoid all of it. So, yeah, all good.
Let me ask you this. Let me throw you a lob. Since it's a year of discipline, how your discipline been? Okay, never mind. We moved on. I thought you was about to knock that one off the mark.
Yeah, not so disciplined. But maybe that's why I'm feeling good. I managed to drag myself to the gym. And I'm talking like I drug myself to the gym once this week. So we did that. Everything else was vibes.
You cooked dinner this week at some point.
I cooked dinner this week.
Which is healthier.
I got the podcast. The podcast stuff was done. Was it done in the time frame I wanted to get? No, but we did it. So, and I went to work. So that's important. And I did read a chapter of something. Actually,
new book.
I actually did start a new book. Ego is Enemy.
Yeah.
Ego is Enemy.
Solid ass book,
it's
by the way.
Good.
Yes. Shout out to Lex.
Normally when you like hear like ego in the title, you're like, I don't know. Like there's almost this like
your ego
hypocrisy
telling you to not read about it to fix it.
It's almost kind of like I feel like a little bit hypocritical when like somebody writes about ego. I don't know. It feels like there's inherently ego, but I really appreciated in this book, the author like addressed that in like the first paragraph, like who am I to even talk about ego? And I was like, it's really good. But yeah, it is. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I love the stories that he uses in each like section to kind of like explain his point. He always starts with like some grandiose person that we all know and tells a story and hones it in, and I'm like, this is a really good book.
Very well written. It's very just like I appreciated it. So yeah, started a new book, got a couple chapters in. So yeah, good. I guess my discipline hasn't been awful, just not like on point. So what about you?
That's hella fucking funny. This week I expressed before to you that it felt overwhelming. I felt like I was just kind of drifting and I couldn't get grounded anywhere, and I was just looking at everything be a mess. So my house, I felt like was a mess because I had just gotten back from Houston, and you know, when you come home, your luggage be everywhere. I didn't get like the deep clean I wanted before I left because I have been very like, I need to like for real clean, like take everything out of its place, move the couch, clean the walls, dust, like, so yeah, it just felt like that was messy. Work felt disorienting and messy because I'm also trying to balance too many things at work. And then the creative felt like there was a lot going on. And like, I just felt like there was no place where there was like structure. And my brain is very like, I need things to be structured. Otherwise, like, I just get overwhelmed. And I remember on, was that Friday? Thursday, I was like, I woke up and was like, ooh, my anxiety is high today. I'm probably gonna have an anxiety attack. Like, so I was trying to like move as conscious and as slow as possible through my day. And I remember there was like 4 times where I stopped and like was like, nope, we're gonna take 5 minutes and we're gonna stop and we're gonna breathe. But luckily I had a couple of things that happened that lightened it. So Friday, my 9 to 5 workload was light, so I got to really like clean my house. So that calmed me a lot after it was done. And then I had a really good conversation that kind of helped ground me a little bit. I talked to actually a lot of people this week, which is a whole other thing that I kind of want to get to at some point. But like, talked to my mom, talked to my friend. Hey, talked to my sister, all in the same day too, which I was like, this is a lot for Brittany. But it was, let's get into that first part now. Sorry, I wasn't thinking about this till now. But on Wednesday, I had posted about the practice of receiving love. And I think that one thing I was noticing and feeling very ungrounded and feeling everywhere, I felt like this was a week where a lot of people had like reached out to me.
Yeah.
And just to check on me. So I was like, and I remember being nervous because I was like,
am I the only one who has that thought?
Oh my God.
Like, am I going to die today? Okay. I'm glad I'm not the only one who thinks that, because I was like, okay, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Because honestly, when that happens, or like if you see people you don't normally see, or like it just, these things happen that it feels like, is this the conclusion of my life story? Like, am I going to walk outside and get hit by a bus and then at least everyone got to say goodbye? Oh my gosh. I'm glad I'm not the only one who be thinking like that.
No, I was just like, is something bad about to happen? Because literally, like, King hit me at the start of the week to be like, hey, I'm just checking on you. Another friend, Kate, hit me and was like, hey, you've been on my mind. My mom hit me and she was like, it wasn't just her normal, like, hey, let's make sure we, like, talk. It was like, hey, like, I've been really praying for you. She sent me a prayer. Like, I was like, are we okay? Like, my sister had called me. I was like,
what's weird, not to make this deep, but you were also on my mind this week, and I did pray for you. I swear. I swear. It was 2 days ago. Now that you said that, yeah.
I was like, I feel like this week I was on a lot of people's
That's
radar,
weird.
which made me then get nervous of like, is something about to happen? Like,
yeah.
But in the same breath, I really feel like it was like, you need to make space to be loved. And that's why I wanted to connect it to the Wednesday thing. It's like all of this, because Wednesday I was saying, you know, like we because we receive love a certain way, and especially now that we have more language for like what my love language is, it's like we want it a certain way, and if it doesn't come that way, we don't recognize it as love. But also like trying to broaden and expand my definition of that. And it was like, okay, like all of this is, Brittany, it's just love. It's just people checking on you, wanting to talk to you, making sure you good, sending up a prayer from, like, pray for me, because I love somebody praying for me, as long as I trust who you praying to. But and I trust who you praying to. I was like, y'all niggas praying to somebody weird, don't pray for me. But I had to like make space to like answer these calls and talk to these people and look at it as, this is people just trying to love on you, and you need to like get better about that.
Can I ask you something? Do you get like defensive when too many people are like checking in on you?
Absolutely.
I do too. What is that about?
I'd be like, what y'all?
Like, do I look like something wrong with me?
I was hella cute on the gram this week. Why you think something wrong?
I do that too. Like, if too many people are like, hey, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, what? Are you okay? You over here judging me? You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about you and your situation.
And I was like, bro, I was just seeing if you needed a meal. Like, are you cool? Turns out you not.
Clearly you're not okay. Yeah.
So, yeah, and then what really helped me click to, like, Brittany, this is love and you need to slow down. Which I also was wondering, I was like, all these people praying for me while I really had an anxious ass week, so thank you, God. Was I had a conversation with Emmanuel, which, you know, I want to circle back to with our topic this week, but we have like every 2 weeks we cut out an hour on a Friday to talk. And it's a lot of just like, when you're building entrepreneurially or creatively, I think it's so important to have community because you're constantly in the unknown. And to have to go at that space by yourself is very fucking difficult. And so our conversation, there are projects that we work on together. Like we'll work on Juneteenth again. There's things I help him with sometimes with UNT or whatever. But a lot of our conversation is just like, hey, as a creative or an entrepreneur, for him, I don't identify as an entrepreneur, but as a creative, like, how are you doing in this process? How are you building? He's also very, like, he's very spiritual. He's not religious, but he's very spiritual, very godly. Yeah. So he's like, how is this journey going? It's like, it's this almost like, in a way, almost like an accountability partner in a way. And I remember he hit me, and we were supposed to meet to talk about the Juneteenth upcoming event or whatever, and I didn't have time to get anything together. And I was like, hey, I want to, like, do you want to meet next week instead? I don't have anything together just yet. I have some ideas, but I haven't put them down yet, and I don't want to waste your time. And he was like, I was just calling to see how you were. You know, our check-ins aren't just about work. You know, it's about us checking in on each other. Like, are you okay? And I was like, my bad. And I was like, yeah, let's still talk. And he was like, all right, I'm going to call you at 1, which is our normal time. And he calls me, and we have this beautiful conversation where literally I told him, I almost cried in the conversation. I was like, there are 3 times in this conversation you answered a prayer I prayed about this week. Wow. With information and perspective that I didn't have. And I was like, that was the moment where I was like, Brittany, why are you fighting being loved? Like, this is just an expression of community. This is an expression of tribe. People sensing whatever they're sensing and deciding they want to pray for you, especially me knowing how overwhelmed and anxious I was this week and how bad my anxiety was. Like, and it's funny, if you say 2 days ago, that was literally the day that I was having an anxiety attack. Yeah, and so I'm like, all of this is love. All of that is what it is, and like, you have to practice letting that in. And I think as someone who is very hyper independent and is looking to shift that, I have to actionably shift it. I have to actually take the time to engage in relationships that are loving, that are pouring into me. And I was just like, all right, okay. Because at first I was like, what's going on?
Is this the final chapter? My bad, I didn't know.
I would have did some crazy shit in Houston.
I didn't know that was the last turn up. Right. They make sure all my drawers is hidden just in case they gotta come in and get me.
I'm about to delete my whole phone history. I'm about to text a couple niggas. No.
That's really funny.
Tell a couple niggas I love them. Do I? Probably not. Really. I would just want to throw it out there.
Add some drama.
You know what I'm saying? Spice it up
a little razzle-dazzle. Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's like one of those things where I think it's really based in fear too. Because it's like, if you allow somebody to love you, or if you're vulnerable, it's like if you hit a like rocky patch, or like, I always kind of liken it to like, if I do it on my own, I know that I'm always going to be there. But if I start allowing other people to come on my journey, I kind of feel like I'll become dependent on it. And so then if they don't show up for whatever reason, I kind of sometimes feel like, okay, well, maybe the reason why I'm here is because of that element. And so if that element is gone, then I won't be able to be in that place. And so I'm like, I would much rather know that the resources that I have are the resources that I have than to continue to be dependent, because I don't think it's really dependent, but on other people and like other aspects. So I mean, I've struggled with the same thing, and it's like, what is it?
I also wonder, I'm going to ask, like, do you have a hard time accepting that people are seasonal?
I hate that thought. My follow-up thought was like, I also, conversely to you, where you're like, ain't nothing to cut it off. I'm like, no, we have to keep everybody. Cut that bitch up. We have to keep everybody. Everyone has to come along. And
the whole squad.
And that's just, it's not true. It's really not true. But I struggle with like, endings and like realizing like, okay, like this is over for this, and that doesn't mean anything other than this is no longer serving me in this moment. But yeah, I hate that. I have a friend, right? I say friend, but like we're not even really friends, where like we're not friends anymore, and I'm like, ugh. And I still even use the term friend, even though like we're not. And it's just, I don't like it. I don't like it.
Yeah, you gotta cut them niggas off. No, I'm playing. No, I'm. Let me not also play like it's. I will not say it's easy for me. I mean, it's probably easier than some people, and probably not for healthy reasons. But it's not that it doesn't bother me. Like, I still have friendships now, or past friendships that aren't friendships even more, that I sometimes sit back and think like was that me and my ego, and I needed to soften, and I should try to rekindle or whatever that, or is that really just needing to have ended? And I do go back and I think about it, and sometimes during it's easy and it bothers me, but I don't know. I'm just like I just want my peace. And sometimes certain relationships that need to end and you continue to have them constantly disrupt your peace over and over and over and over again. And I just think that I 100% believe that when something needs to end, there will be signs. And every time you decide to not take that sign, it's going to get louder.
Yes.
Every fucking time. Ugh. And I know I have a specific relationship in my head where I'm like, that shit got loud as fuck to the point where there was no... I had no option. I had no cards to play.
Crazy.
I'm looking at you crazy. The world looking at me crazy. I'm like, what? And I'm like, it got louder and louder. And the craziest shit is I went back and started reading my last journal because I was wondering, like, where am I at, you know? And not even where I'm at, but like, I just want to kind of see, is there a theme? Yeah. First of all, actually, I'm not saying that on camera. But I'll leave that to myself. But it was crazy to me because I was reading through like my entries about this specific relationship. Yeah. And it was from like 2019. Okay. Till 2022. It was problem after problem after problem after problem. And when I think about the relationship, I don't think like it was that many problems along the way. Right. Every fucking entry was a red flag and a sign that I just bypassed. And so I got to the end of it, got my ass handed to me, and had to walk away with the tail between my legs. And I think that like the universe will be like, okay, if you want to.
and isn't it, I love that like God will allow us to make choices. Like, you have the choice to receive love. You have the choice to keep going through what you're going. You have the choice, and it's clearly laid out in front of us. And we just like, no, I don't think I'm gonna just go that way. Good. I'm gonna go that way. And it's because it's like what we're familiar with. I think sometimes like we get so like wrapped up in the cycle of like trauma and abuse and whatever. Like, it's like, well, at least we know the devil. Come on, you know what I'm saying? At least it's the devil. You know what I'm saying? At least it's the devil that we know. What? We don't know. And you made a really good post about this a couple weeks ago, but it's like, while we don't know what's on the other side of that, if we believe that like God is for us and wants what's best for us, then like we have to believe that what's on that other side is good. But we don't know that, and we've been hurt so many times that we're like afraid to even accept anything different because we're like, I can barely handle what I have. Come on. So if I get something else, I don't know if I can handle that. But that's just not us trusting the process.
It's being comfortable with your chaos, normalizing your chaos. And the crazy shit is even when you get out of the chaos and you get into peace, there's a whole process of normalizing peace because it's some shit you ain't never had. It could feel boring. it could feel stagnant, and sometimes you're like, why does it feel, and it's like, no, that's what peace feels like.
Yes. Let's simmer on that. Oh, you said something.
And I'm like,
normalizing peace is sometimes just as hard as or I guess finding yourself in the normalization of chaos. It's equally as hard. It's just a different kind of hard.
And you be bored, and you be trying to fill the space with some spicy shit,
busyness,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like, no. Chill.
Even with like this pod thing, like the load for this pod is a lot. With work, it's a lot, and I even find myself sometimes being like, well, then I want to do this, and then I want to do that, and then I do that, and I'm busying up my life because steady feels stagnant to me. And that is kind of like, what is that trauma? Where did that come from? Like if I get into a rhythm of things, if I come up with like a habit or routine, that feels stagnant. That doesn't feel like I'm growing. Like I always feel like if I'm in growth, I'm in chaos. And I don't think that's true. Well, I hope it's not true.
I think that, so one of the books I've been reading, I am so frustrated. I don't remember the name of it, but it's by Brené Brown. I think it's Atlas of the Heart.
It's Atlas of the Heart.
That's the last one she did.
Yeah.
What she does so fantastically, which has been so helpful, is like all of her research that she's done so far, she's trying to give definition and context to the range of emotions that we feel or go through, so that you can delineate between them. Because there's so many things that we think are the same thing in our head because it triggers the same response. So we think anger is the same thing as rage is the same thing, and it's like, no, actually, let me delineate what these things are.
Yeah.
And I think even to that is like, what is discomfort and what's chaos? Because growth is uncomfortable, but it doesn't necessarily have to be chaotic, right?
Yeah.
Versus chaos can be misconstrued as like the uncertainty of growth, but it's not. It's chaos.
Yeah.
You know, it's because I think growth is hard, but it's directional. And I think chaos is distractions. It's like always, it's always being in turmoil, but you never really have a set way that it's just a mess. Versus I feel like the difficulty of growth is like, I know this is uncomfortable, and I don't necessarily know what the end goal is, but I know I'm supposed to go in this direction. I know this direction is hard. You know, it's like, so I think the book is fantastic on helping to give people language for like, actually we experience a shit ton of emotions.
Yeah.
And we've been taught about joy, anger, sadness, maybe depression, and we call it that. And it's like, no, like, what is doubt? What is loneliness? And how is loneliness different from just the process of being alone? And like, it's really, really dope at that. And so to me, it's helped me like figure out, okay, like, what am I really feeling? What can I name that? And how do I then move forward after that? Like,
can I ask you something? What is something that we confuse for love? Like, what's a feeling that we confuse for love? Because as you were talking, I was like, I think a fear of love is sometimes even just confusing emotions. Like, because true love, like when we're really feeling love, is a really beautiful thing. So it's like, why do we have a hard time?
Shout out to shrooms. Sorry, I know you don't do shrooms. Shout out to the people who do shrooms. Because experiencing love on shrooms, I don't mean that sexually. To me, shrooms like opened up an understanding of like the interconnectedness between all things, but like it gave me a different experience of love. And when I tell you, I understand 100% why the parable in the Bible said like they kept the presence of God in the ark and people weren't supposed to touch it. It is so wildly overwhelming.
Oh, yeah.
Like, pure love is so fucking wildly overwhelming.
Oh, I could imagine. I'm open, mediumly open to do. I understand why people do it. No judgment against you. I don't. Anyway, but yeah, no. I just think love is a hard feeling to recognize. Like real love is a hard feeling to recognize, and it's a really hard thing to accept because I think, to your point, it feels overwhelming. And I think there's also this sense of like, why me? Like what did I do that you feel like you need to think about me? Like I sometimes have this like feeling when people try to do nice things for me. I'm like,
I know.
I don't. Yeah, like I'm like I don't deserve this. And then also I have this feeling to like want to do it back, but not out of like I genuinely want to do it, but I'm like I need to repay you because like I wasn't worthy to receive the love that you gave.
Avoid.
You know, and it's like that is another hard part of like accepting love is like it has nothing to do with any action that you like. Real love has nothing to do with what you did. It's all about the person just wanting to love you from something from them. Like it has nothing to do with you didn't text me and tell me you had a weird week or whatever. Like I just was like, like you just were on my spirit and I was like, oh, let me shoot one up.
The sideways guns.
Let me sideways gun this prayer real quick.
You know, blessings, bitch.
Yeah, like, but it wasn't because you did anything in particular.
I feel like there are times when I reach out to you and I'll be like, no, I'm just seeing how you are, and you'll be like, oh, I'm good.
Yeah, like
why are you shocked?
Why are you? What you caring about me for, bro?
Right? Like, what you mean?
Chill.
You know what I'm saying? Briana will fight me and then be excited about the thing. Like, I feel like you'd be like, well, I mean, you doing all this shit for the birthday, didn't it? And then the birthday will come and be like, I really had a good time. Like,
I did say that.
You gonna fight me on love. I definitely don't want to speak to like what the answer to that is like, because I don't believe that I have a clear vision of what love is.
Yeah.
I do want to circle it back though, because that was literally just the last part of the book that I read. It was about her trying to come up with something to encapsulate love, and she says like, this is something that philosophers and researchers for eternity have been trying to put their finger on. And she was like, I know that I don't know what exactly it is, but I can tell you some things that it is and some things that it's not.
Yeah.
But I do think sometimes we look at validation as love. I feel like there are times in which we look at comfort as love. And so when we are challenged in that comfort, we think somebody doesn't love us, which is a lot of times I think those moments where when you have real good relationships across the board, it's like when people want to hold you accountable to things or whatever, it's like it may feel uncomfortable. And so it's like, well, you just trying to, and it's like, well, love also holds that, you know, like I think love is about, you know, peace and kindness, and I think love is a certain level of selflessness. It is that I want to give to you because I love you, and I don't really care what you give back to me. I don't care how you return it back to me. And I do think that the most beautiful relationships happen when two people are reciprocating the giving that comes from love. And I also think that, like, to King's point, shout out to King. I had posted her on our page a couple weeks ago for a Wednesday. And I've heard that in other books that I've read, where it's like, what's so hard for people when you love somebody very deeply and you lose them, whether it's like a romantic relationship or somebody passes that you really love, it's like, it's not that it's not that you loved them and you need them to be there to love. Like, that love is coming from you. And for some reason, whatever that person was, they allowed a space for you to fully exist in the cultivation of your love. And that's what you're feeling around you. You're feeling your own love. It's not necessarily theirs. And they're in a space where they're cultivating their own love and they're filled with love. And then now it's just this exchange.
I'm on shrooms right now.
Come on now, baby. And it's just this exchange of like this beautiful creation that we're both bringing our fullness as ourselves. I think love is service. Like, because even when I think about the gifts that we have from God, they are from God and they're intended to flow through us in service to the world.
Oh yeah.
And I think that is a demonstration of love. Is like, I'm pouring this into you so you can go give it.
Yeah.
And go give it freely.
And so that somebody else can go give it. And it's like it's
supposed as a domino effect, a circle. And one of the things that Emmanuel challenged me this week on, he was like, you know, how are you loving God's people? which is everybody, right? And because I was saying, you know, like I was really battling a lot this week with a lot of self-doubt around a lot of different things. Around, I was like, am I being a good enough partner in the creative process? Am I being a good enough daughter? Am I being a good enough sister? Am I being a good enough this thing and that thing? And like doubting certain things and trying to understand what I'm trying to do creatively and all this stuff. And when it came to my relationship with other people, when I was talking about that, he was like, Brittany, all you can do is like show up with God's love. That's all you can do.
That's it.
That's all you can do. And he's like, so, because he's also someone that like grew up in the church but isn't really messing with the church no more. And I think it's more so he needs to see the changes before he's willing to like go back or whatever.
Which is many of us.
Yes.
For very reasonable reasons.
And he was like, the one thing, you know, he's like, some of the things that were missed in that churchy experience is like living your life for God or allowing God to flow through you in your life. That is a day to day, every interaction, every experience, like it's a way, how can I show up and show love? And I was like nervous about all those things and having doubt. And he was like, well, did you show up the best you could in the most loving way? And I was like, no. And he was like, okay, well, give yourself grace, but next time show up with love. And I was like, that means I gotta be patient.
And what's so beautiful, I think, because love is so big, like just having love is enough. It's enough. We get caught up in one of my critiques of the church is that we get so caught up in all these like, don't do this, don't do that, don't wear this, don't do that, you can't smoke. Sure. But I think the root of that is just love.
Yes.
If you gave love, if you were open to receiving love, if you moved in love, if you acted in the world in love, a lot of these things, killing, stealing, cheating, none of that wouldn't even be a factor. And so when we think about like receiving love and giving love, like that is enough. We don't need to do anything else other than that. It's hard, but it's enough.
It's enough.
And we spend so much time trying to find all these solutions and let me go do this and let me go do that and then come up with all these tools. But at the end of the day, those tools are really just channels in which we learn how to love.
Yeah.
Journaling is loving yourself.
Ooh.
Reflection is loving yourself.
A word. And that allows me to love other people better, because that's why I think it's so important to really be focused on yourself. And that's part of, honestly, the craziest thing is in that whole conversation, the thing he led me to, he was like, how's your relationship with God been this week? And I was like, I know I did the things, like, you know what I'm saying? I watched the TD Jakes on the Monday.
TD Jakes was there.
I tapped in on with Miriam Hasdale on the Wednesday. And he was like, no, I'm not doing the stuff. How is your, like, relationship? Like, how's your prayer life been looking this week?
Right.
And I was like, it's been looking. But he was like, you know, it's easy to doubt yourself and where you're going when you're not intentionally being tapped in, because at the end of the day, if you're here in service to God and to allow that to flow through you, that you need to be constantly checking in with him to be like, what's supposed to flow through. And he was also like, the reality is like, he's like, I feel like one of the misconceptions we give people with this idea of like, God will never put more on you than you can bear. And he was like, I don't think that that's accurate, or I don't think it's delivered accurately. And my understanding, what he was saying is like, it's not about, God will put more on you than you in that moment can bear, because he sees your higher self and he knows what has to be put on you. I'm telling you, this
episode is crazy. I hope y'all are taking notes, bruh.
And he has to allow a certain amount of not overbearing, but like overwhelming pressure for you to have to learn to grow, but also learn it ain't never been about you having to hold that shit yourself.
Ever.
So if you keep trying to hold it yourself, I wonder why you feel lost.
You don't even have to go halfway. He will go more than halfway. I just... What? My mind is blown right now. Yeah, no, I love everything that you said.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to pick up. They were all good. I don't know. It was all good.
But it was very like, He was like, you need to center your focus back because then you need to remember why you're doing all the things that you're doing. And I was like, okay, that's right. And when I centered back, I was like, well, I'm actually not that overwhelmed because like all I can do is show up. All I can do is do my best to clear the vessel, to allow it to flow.
Yeah.
And there's grace every next day for whatever the fuck comes next.
And one of the things that's amazing is like you don't have to make reservation to tap into the things that you tap into. It's not like you got to be like, oh, there's a wait list. I guess I got to wait till next week. It's not like you got to dial a number and then sit on the phone. Like, it is always there. Like, it's there when you don't even want it to be there. Mm-hmm. It's always there. All you have to do is open your mouth and your heart to receive it, and it's there. Mm-hmm. So why do we wait until we feel like we're barely holding on, we're barely breathing, I can't barely crawl across out of my bed to go to the bath? Like, why do we do that to ourselves? We let it all pile up, and then we're like, oh, help, 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 when we could just tap in every day.
Every day.
If you need it, every minute.
Every
minute if you need it. Like, we always have access to God, to love, to that. We always do. And so I think that is a message to me of like, tap in more, because you don't. It doesn't have to be once a week. It doesn't have to be when TD Jakes is on Monday. It doesn't have to be when
my Monday.
It can be whenever you need it. It could be in any environment you're in. Which is a beautiful thing.
And then after that, I was like, well, damn, now I gotta go pray.
Right? He's like, oh.
I was praying a lot since then, honestly.
This episode is wild. You're welcome. That's all I gotta say. We are being ultimate vessels. There's so many good nuggets in
hecka funny.
This episode. I'm gonna play it back and listen to it 5 times. I don't even know if it's over, but I just need to let y'all know this. If you haven't picked it up, what we putting down,
pick that shit up. No.
Reverse and try again.
Flip it and reverse it. So to end that out, like. I didn't press the time, but whatever. To him and to Lex, shout out to Lex. I know Lex, you're gonna watch and listen to this. Lex also is very helpful to me. Where a lot of times when I'm like really stressed creatively, I'm just like, I don't know if I'm making the right decisions. I don't know what this is and what that is, and he's just like, he's always like, you have to trust yourself. Like, you have to trust yourself. And trust yourself. And trust yourself doesn't mean it's always going to be right. But you also trust yourself to pivot when it's not. Like, but you have to trust yourself. And you can't always, like, it's hard. And I feel like a lot of creatives and artists talk about this, about, like, being particular about what your inner circle is.
Right.
And I think, to me, it's hard because when you're building something, you hear noise and feedback everywhere. And it doesn't mean the feedback is invalid. It doesn't mean the feedback isn't useful in some way. But it is like you actually have to practice the discernment of like, all right, do I need that? Do I not need that? Do I take that? Do I take some part of that but spin it my way? Like, what am I doing with all of this noise that's around me? And having to this is the first time where I feel like I'm having to sit in the idea that not everybody is really going to see my vision, and it's not their job to. It's like not everybody's going to see my vision until it's fully brought into fruition, and then people are going to go, oh, I see why you chose all of the decisions you made along the way. And you have to, you being me talking to myself, but like you have to be dialed in to like, I know what God is asking me to do. And I don't have to have everybody else see it.
It's challenging your relationship with validation.
Too.
I feel like in our culture, we have these like checkpoints in our life where we're like, okay, we're doing good. Like even if it's school, you first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, hey, all right, we're good. Like, but when you become an adult, you don't have as many points to check in and be like, okay, am I doing this right? And so you have to challenge what validation is to you. And like, just because I don't see it doesn't mean that it's wrong. I don't see it. Maybe that means that you need to spend more time in it and continue to follow your path. My boyfriend is a musician, and like he'll have me like listening to projects that he's working on, and like I'll be like, oh, okay, don't see it,
but okay.
And I had to learn how to how to not put my vision on his vision.
Come on.
And instead be like, okay, well, what is it that you were trying to do? And does that resonate with me? And if it doesn't resonate with me, is there something that I can add to this conversation that will help it resonate more with me? Or maybe, I'm sorry, I don't have anything. Because you don't always have to give feedback either. You don't always have to give feedback.
Word.
You don't. Like, if you don't really feel like what you are contributing to their work, their world, their life is going to be of value to their mission, not your mission, of value to their mission, you don't have to provide feedback. You can say, you know what, I think you're on a path. And I'm excited to see what it looks like when you're done.
Right.
It sounds like you're on a journey. And I can't wait to see the end.
That's heckin' funny. I was joking with Emmanuel, and he was like, yeah, sometimes, you know, people do work, art or whatever, and I gotta go, you know, I love you, bruh. He's like, I don't got nothing else to add other than I love you. Like, that's funny.
You smell really good today.
You know what? Your skin is fantastic. I know you just asked me about this song, but have
you looked at yourself today?
You are working. And then just walk out because I don't know what else to say.
I don't have anything to add.
I ain't got nothing for you, bro.
Yeah.
But yeah, that went in a different direction, but I'm good with it either way.
Yeah. No, this was a great episode. This one is starred.
You welcome.
This one is starred in the category of podcast in my mind. Like, this is such a good conversation. And sometimes we'll have episodes where I'm like, I don't know. And then sometimes I'm like, we nailed it, but I try to like hold it in. I couldn't hold it. I couldn't even hold it in.
Before we close out, I'm about to go. I just had to say to you, I was like, I told you I'm going to make you wave them arms today.
No, literally. I hope I didn't.
I let it be. They don't know.
Literally. I was having a whole fit over here.
That's hecka funny.
Yeah.
So this has been another week, another episode. You know, we got a post show coming up, but thank you for joining us on the Occasionally Accountable podcast.
Thank you so much for rocking with us.
We have our usuals. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment. Thank you to more people starting to comment on our social media, especially on the Instagram. I'm noticing that a lot more. Thank y'all. We really, really value and appreciate that. We are _OA podcast on both TikTok and Instagram. We're the Occasionally Accountable podcast on YouTube. Is that all the places we are? That's everything, right?
You said TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, yeah.
Okay.
That's everybody.
Cool. All that
That's
posting.
everybody.
That's everybody. Thank you. Remember to like, comment, and share. Repost all the other things. Share the love because we over here to talk about some shit.
We are. Tell a friend to tell a friend.
To bring a friend, and we can be friends.
And we'll all be friends.
You know how that song goes. No. Yeah.
All right. Thank y'all. Talk to you later. Bye.
It's not toxic, but
well,
actually it is. I forgot what the question was. It literally is.
Toxicity.
Okay, my question to you was, if you think about all of your exes and whatever range that is, whether it was one date to years, whatever.
Yeah.
If you had them all in a room and you could ask them, what do you think they would say are your toxic traits? Let me give me 3 to 5. 2. Okay, I'm done with 2.
I got some big ones. And I'm gonna open it up to friendships as well.
Yes.
So, this is so bad. Look at me telling on myself, bro. It's occasionally accountable. It's hella accountable right now.
I feel hella accountable. It's not occasional.
It's hella accountable. So one of my toxic traits is validation.
Mm-hmm. That's not new. You said that on the pod before.
I have. Haven't fixed it. Still working on it. So I have this need where, like, I will do something not always with the intention of doing it for the right reasons, but doing it because I want you to know that I did it so that you can tell me that I did a good job. I'm literally like a puppy in that way.
Torian said something about that on her ADHD platform, because it wasn't a podcast episode that she said that, but she said something that actually is a
trait of ADHD.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's not my fault.
No.
So I gotta fix it.
No, that is not what.
Period. It's my brain.
She saw that accountability and drove the other fucking way, bro.
It's not my fault. It's
a way to understand yourself and able to.
It's my brain.
She said, "Oh, this isn't on me. Never mind." But I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, no. So that on its head is not necessarily always toxic, but the way that I express it in relationships is toxic, because if I do something and I don't feel like you acknowledge it, then like I automatically I'm like, well, you don't care, and like, or I'll be like, oh, well, I'm not gonna do this for you because last time I did it, you didn't say thank you. So good luck jumpstarting your car. Hope somebody comes in time.
Why would you put that car karma out in the world like that? Why would you do that? That's
good luck. So yeah, that would be a toxic trait of mine that I just realized like within a year or so. That was something that I did.
Okay, you said 2.
Yeah. Oh God. And the other one is like I like to mind read.
I did not expect that.
I like to mind read and future tell.
Okay.
I really get into my That's So Raven bag.
Okay.
I could be having a conversation with someone and I'll even like try to finish their sentence. I'm really bad about that. Or like they'll be saying something and I try to fill in the blank. And it's because I'm trying to like, I don't let them have a thought that is theirs. I want them to have my thought, which is not good. And then even when like a scenario is happening, like you and I even just talked about something similar, something kind of like this today, where I already project the thing that's going to happen before it even happens. I do feel like one of my giftings is that I am pretty like aware of like, I can understand people pretty quickly, but I take that and then I like project a whole plot. Like a whole plot. Like I'm like, oh, they're going to do this and then they're going to do that and then she's going to say that and then I'm going to feel like this. And then it's like, then I've created a whole scenario and then the way that I show up is based off of the future situation and it's not based off of reality. So that limits the way that I communicate. Like I don't communicate effectively and I don't listen effectively because in my mind I'm always like, oh, I already know what you're going to say and I already know what's going to happen. So no surprises here. And that is not good.
Oh, that's hecka funny. That makes so much sense. So I'm glad you did that because that helps me understand you better. Because there are definitely times where you've been like, oh, because you mean da-da-da. And I was like, actually, I was just about to say this. You'll be like, oh. Like,
I do that all the time.
That's hecka funny.
Yeah.
Your
turn.
Well, I know my mouth is a interesting thing to deal with.
You quick on the trigger.
Oh, yes. Very quick on the trigger. I have a very smart mouth mixed in with being someone who is very, very blunt and honesty that is, what is the phrase? I don't remember the phrase, but sometimes it's cruelty and more than it is honesty. So I think that a lot of times when you notice me disengage with things, it's because I know I'm like, nothing good is about to come out of my mouth and I need to shut the fuck up. And the only way I can shut the fuck up is to disengage. I should learn how to stay engaged and still just not have to say certain things. But I have a very, very sharp tongue. And if I don't watch it, it can get a little out of hand. That's one.
I would agree. Yeah, that's pretty aware. Way to be.
I be trying. I don't always got it, but I be trying sometimes.
Sometimes you're better at it than others. But same with me, so it's all good.
I remember we were having a conversation with somebody. We were in a group chat. And you were like, well, let's give it a little space. Let's not blow up the spot. And then I had already responded because you texted that to me separately.
Yeah.
I had already responded. You said, oop, okay. So
spot's a little blown. Got it. Let's just disengage though. Come on back. And what's funny, I knew. This is where this fortune telling sometimes do be right, because I saw the direction of this and I was like, I literally stopped what I was doing at work and I was like, if I don't respond, Brittany is gonna blow the entire thing up into flames.
And I don't give a fuck is the problem. When I'm in that space, I don't give a fuck, and I do not care about the consequences and the repercussions, and my ego gets large because I'm like, I don't need this shit. Like, I can do this shit on my own. I don't give a fuck. Like, and then I just be like, damn, B, like, that was unnecessary.
It's cool when people know you, so they know, like, all right, she just, okay. But it's like when other people don't know, I'm like, oh, God. And that person feels like they have similar energy. I'm like, oh, God. Oh, God.
It's bad. It's bad. I blame it on being a Sagittarius. No, just playing. I do kind of blame it on my signs, but whatever. That's lacking accountability. That's seeing accountability and driving the other way. Yeah, I think my other one is, I do think that my hyper independence is a trait that a lot of people would have to. It's something that I think that it's too far to the left or right, whatever direction. But I will definitely say in romantic relationships, I definitely have had people, two sides to that. People be like, you can let me do this thing. And I'm like, oh, okay. And people who I've definitely been around or had interactions with men who were like, I'm surprised. At some point, once I got to like really know them and like let my guard down, they were like, I'm surprised at how like soft you are. Because they were like, because a long time I just was like, I thought we was niggas because you kind of move like a nigga. Like, and so I think that especially in romantic relationships, and just I feel like the trauma that I have around men specifically, I'm very like, you will be kept over there, because I often have experiences when men feel entitled to your space, especially if they're attracted to you in some way. Man. So I am always like, you can stay right there. And I know it comes off as defensive and guarded. Some of it I'm like, that's not going to change just because of the nature of being a woman having to move through the world. Yeah. But I do think there are ways in which like I don't allow people to help me. Like even right now I'm thinking about the fact that like I was telling you that something got messed up with the last episode. Oh, okay. Shout out to y'all. Thank you to Lex. But anyone else who watched it, we noticed and we got to fix it. But
might be fixed by now. Hopefully.
Why would it be fixed?
You're not going to take it down and put it back up?
Oh, by now when they say, I get what you're saying. I thought you meant literally in this moment while we're recording. I was like, how did that happen? But the thing is, I didn't even think, I'm literally like, yeah, well, when I go out to Dallas and we're going to go shoot, I'm going to go stop at Becky's house, go get it, because I need it off her computer so I can go home. And I'm like, there wasn't even a thought of me that said, can you just ask Becky if she was willing to just cut it and put it back up? Like, I don't always think to ask for help. I just go like, something needs to be done. I'm going to make sure it gets done and I'm going to do it. And I also think that lends to people believing that like, I want to lead all the time and control everything. And it's like, I don't actually always, sometimes I do. Other times, I don't actually always want to because it's extremely exhausting. Oh, yeah. But I also am like, I don't know. There's something in there about like, I can't expect someone else to do something that I feel like in my mind is my responsibility. And it makes it hard for me to like kind of ask for help or relinquish control. But I also know that like I'm very, very clear the importance of community. I'm very clear in the importance of a team.
Which
I know that.
Yeah, which is very interesting.
Yeah, like to be here right now, I knew I would not be here doing this without y'all.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be possible. So, and I have to like shift that mindset to get a team, to do the things, because it's not, nobody does anything by themselves. Like, it's just not possible. So I know it, but there are a lot of ways I don't embody it because I've been moving in that way for so long.
Yeah, and I'll even say, like, in my relationship now, like, for example, like, I don't pump my own gas, period.
Poop.
But I was on close to E, and I was by myself. And it was, like, nighttime, and I'm like, bruh, like, I don't want to get gas. And I had a thought, like, oh, I'll just, like, go home, and then whatever, like, next time I see him, he'll put gas in the car. But then I was like, Briana, you literally don't have enough gas to do that. Like, you need to go get gas right now. And I had this, like, feeling like, dang, like, have I really become, like, I was very independent when I moved here, did everything by myself. And now I'm like, oh, I can't go get gas at night because the Angel's not here. And I literally had to, like, nah, you gonna get gas, and you gonna stand outside while you pumping it, and you, like, and then I, like...
And you gonna hold your finger gun sideways?
And you gonna just stand
upside
there.
Down?
You know what I'm saying? And there was,
let a nigga try you.
And there's this guy who was, like, kind of standing pumping his gas, too, and I'm like, no, you gonna stand there. You're not gonna be afraid, because he gonna, you know, like, I was like...
Look that nigga in the eye.
And I'm doing the absolute most at this point. And
this man don't work 12 hours, mind his business, just trying to get gas and go home to his family. he done just saved 18 kids off a school bus. And you like, yeah, nigga, I'm pumping this
I want
gas.
you to try it, you know?
It's like, whoa.
So there is this feeling, even after you've relinquished a little bit of control, that you have this, like, fear of, like, oh my gosh, like, what if I can't shift back into that gear? Like, what if I actually need it? And I've been so used to, like, relinquishing this part of my life that I don't even know how to, like, shift back into it. And that is my, like, biggest fear, is that I become somebody who literally can't do it on their own because I just haven't worked that muscle, you know?
But I also think to your space and what we were talking about earlier in the episode is, like, accepting being out of survival mode is also a whole thing. Like,
normalizing peace.
Woo,
it's hard.
What?
Yeah.
Cause like why like at the end of the day you needed to go get gas, but it's like you didn't have to have a whole episode.
I didn't.
A whole true crime episode.
Could have literally pumped the gas and got it back in my car and been done.
But it's like that instinct of like, no, I need to always be able to survive out here, and you know, and it's just like that's too much. Like that's too much for our nervous system. We don't need to be doing that all day. Like that's exhausting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think even moving away from mechanisms you've created to literally just survive and know that you don't have to be in that space anymore is difficult.
And trusting that it'll still be there if you need it, but you can walk away from it because you don't need it right now. You can put the bag down. The bag will be there if you need it.
Bag lady.
And you don't need it right now.
You gon' miss your bus.
I successfully put gas in my car. And this is even funnier, so because I was like having my, like, I'm gonna stand outside and I'm gonna stand here, I ended up like putting way more gas in my tank than I wanted to.
Of course.
So I got hella gas.
I thought you were gonna say I locked my keys in the car. I was gonna say, of course, this story ends this way.
Nah, I got hella gas because I'm like, nah, I'm gonna stand out here and pump this gas for a full 5 minutes. Girl, I'll be tired.
I love how you decided on a time of how much gas you're going to pump. Not the quantity of the gas, not the price.
No.
I'm doing it for 5 minutes. I don't care. Gas running down the side of the car.
Literally, just pumping nothing. Standing outside,
but
just holding
leave,
it.
Though.
Literally. Gosh.
That's hecka funny.
All
but
right.
yes.
Yeah. We're toxic. Great. Check. Identified.
Love y'all. Bye. Check. Identified.